Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rana Fahad, and welcome to the final stream of SWE. I have my friend Tanishk over here as the cameraman with his expensive iPhone. So yeah, shout out. Anyway, I just wanted to cover a few things, a couple of three things. So the first one is some people have questions about which class to extend. So you have the helper repository class, this repository, and the Lego set repository extends it. So in the exam, the professor might give a serialized file. The file might be in binary or JSON or CSV. It's his choice, and you don't need to look at the file. You can see here the Lego set repository. It deals with it. It gives a superclass, like it instantiates the superclass, which is the repository class. And the repository class itself will deal with opening the file and changing it into Java objects. By the way, watch my videos on the Captain Java channel. They explain how the deserialization and serialization process goes. Anyway, you don't need to look at the file. If you want to see the structure of the object, you should have the model class. Here it's Lego set. When it's astronauts, it will say astronauts. When it's airports, it says airport. So you go to this file, it should show you all the properties that data type has. If you look at the file, for example, I'll show you the repository class. This will be given by the professor. So you can see it has the elements in a list. By the way, it's a generic T. So if you have Lego sets, when you implement this class, you see you're giving the type. So it already has the type. And in the constructor, you can see that it takes the file name and it uses Jackson to read that file and convert it into elements. So you have no reason to look at the file and confuse yourself. You can even see here in Lego set repository, it creates an instance of the parent class and it gives it the file name. So that's all. When you're doing the repository, you always extend just the repository. So when you're making the Lego set repository or the object repository, astronaut repository or whatever, you extend the base repository. Either way, I think it should be given already. If it's not, maybe in the instructions he says extend the repository. What do you think, Tanishk? Do you remember?
What?
Like in the instructions, maybe I think in the instructions they tell you to extend the repository, so it's chill. So that should conclude the first question. The second problem is the pom.xml. So in pom.xml, he might give something like he might give a dependency and he will give artifact ID or version or whatever. And one area where I saw a lot of people get stuck is the scope. So there's a couple of scopes that you can have. I think compile, runtime, stuff like that. So he will say maybe add the scope of runtime to this dependency, or he will say add this dependency with the scope of runtime. So in that case, you have to, I don't think it will be given like this. So you will have to manually add the scope attribute. And now if you don't know how to spell it, you can press Control space and you can have all the possible options. So if you want runtime, just double click it. That's it. This got a few people and I think someone even failed because of it. If you don't do it properly, your code might not compile, so just keep it in mind. And now the last thing, which I consider the most important tip, is the built-in Java types. So for example, here you have year. So what is year? Year is a built-in type. If you hover over year, you can see that it is java.time. It could also be java.util, or basically it's a built-in class in Java and you don't know how to deal with it. So in my exam, he gave date. So instead of year, it was like date something. So instead of like year, like this, instead of this, it was date of birth or something like that. So one of the questions was sort the astronauts in order of increasing date of birth. Now increasing year of birth. So the date of birth contains the year, month, day, seconds, minutes, hours, all that. So you only want the year, but you don't remember how to do it because there's a lot of classes in Java. So what you can do is you hover over date, you right click, you click go to, you go to declaration or usages. So the benefit of Java is that it's an object-oriented language, which means each class has a parent. Each class except the Java object class. So every class builds on another class. For example, date implements these three classes. So stuff like that. Anyway, this, if you click on declarations, it should lead you to the detailed 1300, well, 1400 line documentation about the date class. So now what do you do with it? You want the year. So just scroll through it, ignore the green text, ignore the, the internal variables. Don't be confused about keywords like transient. They'll be using some complex words, but look at year. Eventually you'll find something like get here. And then you realize two things. One is that year is represented as an integer, a primary int. This might be important as well. Not primary. What are there's reference variables. What are the other ones? Primitive, I think. Yeah, it's a primitive int. So now you know that year inside the date is a primitive integer, and you can get it by doing get here. So now you can come back. Oh, another thing you can find out is, you see the data type here. The data type implements comparable. This means you can sort it without having to give your own comparator. You can sort it, and you can also give comparators.reverse without having to give your own comparator. So this is also really useful. You can see if it implements comparable. Anyway, so if you want the year, you can now just do date of birth dot help. Just so I can access it, I'll just give like a date example date and example date. Oh yeah, let me just make a new date. So if you do example date dot, you can see get here. So get here is deprecated, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work. So it's saying that get time, but I'm going to use get here anyway, even though it's deprecated. I think it might be deprecated because I'm using JDK 2024. But this is an example of how you can access all the methods and variables inside a class. This is really helpful, the documentation. So I think that's it. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. Let me just go through it. Yeah, Tanish, do you think there's anything I should add?
I think just tell them about the email, like the command line, so that some people who didn't watch the videos, they can know how to use that Maven lifecycle and everything.
Oh yeah, in the videos I also explained that the command line, like if you go to here, Maven install, is not supposed to work. It should say Maven command not found. And Professor Tots Robert, he even mentioned it in the email that Maven command line tools will not be available. So in that case, you go to this Maven logo, lifecycle, and you can compile to see if your code compiles. I think you're supposed to generate documentation. I may be mixing up the tests, but in that case, I think it's site, Maven install. All of these commands are available here. But that's all, right?
Yeah, that's all. Basically, in the email it said that SDK man wouldn't be installed, so nothing to worry about. It basically means that the command line won't work, but this will always be there in a Maven project. So with IDEA support, you can easily do it.
Yep. Alright, that's all. Stop recording.